Good evening. Tonight, once again, we're asking for your help to clear up some of this country's serious crimes, the one which it's most urgent to solve. As ever, detectives behind us are ready to take your calls, and we start with some new information on a case that's been very much in the news in the past 3 weeks.
In fact, in a few minutes, you'll hear the voice of the man who kidnapped Stephanie Slater. It's the voice of someone who may well have been involved in other major crimes, of course, including murder. But tonight's task is not only to give you new evidence, but also to draw the clues together to create a profile of the offender. Tom Cook, the Assistant Chief Constable in overall charge of the inquiry, hopes someone in the next few minutes will recognise that several of the elements of the pattern fit together like a jigsaw and will point to a single individual. This is the face as recalled by Stephanie, of course. Here it is again, and here it is as remembered by one of her colleagues. He's white, he's 40 to 50 years old, we think, medium-ish height, 5'7" to 5'8", and of medium build, neither fat nor thin. For the first time, you can now hear what he sounds like. This is the first conversation that he had with an estate agent, Kevin Watts.
I want to speak to Kevin Watts, quickly, please.
Who's calling?
Don't mind.
Hold on.
Hello?
Kevin Watts?
Speaking.
Have you got the money?
Hello?
Have you got the money?
Who's this, please?
Never mind. Have you got the money? For tomorrow?
For tomorrow.
Yeah. Have you got it?
I'm getting it, yeah.
3 o'clock. You'll get a message at 3 o'clock.
A message at 3 o'clock tomorrow?
Yeah. And do you want her to give you a password? If you tell me a word, I'll get her to repeat it to say that she's all right.
Yes. Could I have a mother and father's Christian names, please?
A mother and father's Christian name. OK, 3 o'clock tomorrow.
The following day, he rang again.
You go to Glossop Station.
Could you spell that, please?
Glossop, west of Manchester. There's a telephone box inside the entrance hall, only one, and you'll get a further message at 7 o'clock. If anything goes wrong and you don't make it there, I want you there as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Anything goes wrong, you ring your office up. It's an hour and a half journey and it's sunny. I'm in Glossop now and it's sunny here. Get there for 7 o'clock.
Do you recognise the voice? And more to the point, can you put it together with other clues? Does the man you think it might be have an opportunity to travel quite a lot? Because we know a great deal about the kidnapper's movements. On Wednesday, the 8th of January at 9 a.m, he was in Birmingham to visit Stephanie's estate agency. Then 2 weeks later, he was back in Birmingham on the day Stephanie was kidnapped. Now note, it's another Wednesday morning, the 22nd, this time between 10 and 11 a.m. He was in Glossop to arrange the ransom on the afternoon of Wednesday, the 29th of January. Indeed, he made a phone call from Talbot Street at 3:20. Did you see him there by any chance? That same evening, between 8 and 9 p.m, this is the 29th of January, remember, he was in the Barnsley area for the drop-off near Silkstone and Oxspring. And later on that night, he drove to Birmingham to release Stephanie just after midnight. So he wouldn't have got back home until sometime in the early hours of the morning. We also know a bit about his car. He drove an old-type Metro, probably 10 to 12 years old, described as vermilion or orange-red, with black hubcaps. It's fairly distinctive, therefore, and the rear side windows may have been blacked out in some way. They're not necessarily blacked out now. It's also possible, but we're not sure, possible he has access to a red Suzuki Jeep. We also know he spends time in premises rather like a large workshop or a warehouse, perhaps part of an old colliery or a railway building, a brickworks, garage, we're not sure, but this is where Stephanie was held. She remembers being taken down a slightly sloping dirt track. The building had a sliding door. It was opened with keys, so this is not an entirely abandoned place. It had a cold stone or concrete floor and contained at least one wooden beam. It might be on 2 floors. It could be single-story with a high roof space. Stephanie thought that she heard trains in the distance. She also remembers people visiting during the day while she was held there. They arrived for short periods, either picking things up or dropping them off. Twice a day, quite heavy vehicles visited. Indeed, Stephanie remembers the container in which she was being held actually vibrated until the engines had been turned off. She heard smaller vehicles too. Were you driving any of those? Could you have been? Her abductor may well have gone home at night. Do you live with him? And remember this, he was wearing a train badge like this, and he had knowledge of abandoned railway lines which he used in his plot to get the ransom. So he might be a railway enthusiast. If you're one too, or can see something familiar in this pattern which fits a man you know. Who is he? Now, Tom Cook, you've already got over 3,000 people trying to put a name to that face. You clearly want something more out of this appeal tonight.
Yes, we certainly do. If all that people recognise is the artist's impression, and they've already told us about that, then I would thank them, but ask them not to ring again just with the artist's impression. What we're really looking for is new information over and above that, and particularly anybody who can give us combinations of those 2 or 3 or 4 elements, and in particular anyone who can put together all 4, the face, the car, the voice and the location.
Now, there might be several people who've got quite a strong hunch. They think it's somebody they know, but they're not sure, and they're pretty certain if they ring up they're going to get someone into an awful lot of trouble.
Well, that's not the case. We can quite clearly and easily eliminate people from the inquiry, and I would plead with people, if you know any of these elements, can tell us anything about them at all, please ring us, please tell us.
I suspect, and I know you suspect too, that someone watching tonight is pretty sure that he or she knows who this person is. What have you got to say to them?
Well, I can understand that anyone who lives with a person who may think it's them may have doubts in their mind. What I would say is please, please set those doubts on one side. Let us reconcile them. This man, I'm as sure as can be, killed Julie Dart, as well as kidnapping Stephanie Slater. So he's killed before, he's kidnapped, he's likely to kidnap and possibly to kill again. So I would say, please set the doubts on one side, please ring me here and give us the information. We really must catch this man.
Let's listen to that tape again. The voice of Stephanie's kidnapper. Do you know who this is?
You go to Glossop Station.
Could you spell that, please?
GLOSSOP, west of Manchester. There's a telephone box inside the entrance hall, only one, and you'll get a further message at 7 o'clock. If anything goes wrong and you don't make it there, I want you there as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Anything goes wrong, you ring your office up. It's an hour and a half journey and it's sunny. I'm in Glossop now and it's sunny here. You get there for 7 o'clock.
Well, we'll play that tape again at the end of the programme. That's the number here coming up, 081 811 8181. Or you can ring the police direct, and that's a free phone number, 0800 800 345. 0800 800 345. And if the culprit isn't caught within the next few weeks, we'll come back to the subject next month, no doubt with a full reconstruction.
And if viewers can help tonight, let's hope we won't need to do one. Certainly, viewers' calls have led to a number of arrests since last month's programme. You may remember our reconstruction about the abduction and rape of a woman on her way home from work in Hertfordshire. The day after the programme, a man was arrested. Officers particularly asked us to thank the viewers who called, nearly 400 of them, and a man is now in custody, charged with attempted murder, abduction, rape and burglary. And going back to last December, we asked for your help with the inquiry into the murder of Marion Rilke from Hove in Sussex. Though not as a direct result of information from Crimewatch viewers, we can now report that last Saturday a man was arrested and charged.
Rape, as we've seen from those much publicised trials in America, is generally a crime committed by someone known in some way to the victim. In fact, according to the Home Office, about 70% of women who report they've been raped were assaulted by a man they'd met somewhere before. And some surveys put the figure very much higher indeed. Stranger rape is most unusual. Yet in London, 2 men have abducted and assaulted at least 1 woman, perhaps 2, indeed maybe several more. Someone watching tonight may well know the assailants. Please ring us if you do and have them stopped. An actress plays the central role. We've called her Susie in the film, but the name bears no resemblance to that of her actual victim, and nor does her appearance. Our reconstruction starts in Peckham in South London at lunchtime on Saturday the 7th of December.
Emergency, which service?
Please.
Hello, police, can I help you?
Please.
Yes.
Yeah. You see, I've been raped and I don't know what to do.
Oh, I didn't quite catch that, madam. Could you repeat that?
I was raped. I've been walking around all night and I don't know what to do. They took my jacket and I've got no money.
The caller was in deep trauma and had no idea where she was. The operator kept her talking while they traced the number and sent for help.
Excuse me, are you Susie Miller? Can I speak on the phone, please? I could see she'd been crying. She seemed very withdrawn, very upset, and in shock. Obviously, she had been through an appalling ordeal. As a police officer, you have to detach yourself somewhat from the situation you find yourself in so you can do your job properly. However, as a human being, after seeing the state that the young girl was in, it made me feel like I just wanted to go out and jump in a car and find the blokes that had done it, because it was a terrible thing that had happened to her.
It was 24 hours before Susie had recovered sufficiently to tell the police in detail what had happened.
OK, Susie, as you know, we've got to take a statement from you. It might be a little difficult. If you find you want to stop and have a break, just let me know, OK?
Yeah.
Right, perhaps it might be easier if you start by telling me what you were doing earlier that evening.
I'd been working. We had a good day. After work at about 6, went for a drink with some friends. We were there for a couple of hours. We didn't drink much. I was drinking orange juice mainly. We were talking about Christmas and what we were going to buy and the office party.
Let's face it, it's older than your grandfather.
No, he's about 33.
33 in a bit.
No, he looks really young.
Coffee, how
Round
much
about 9 o'clock, I made a phone call to my boyfriend at home. Hello, John? Are you all right? I'm having a drink with Angie and Frida from work. Can you come and pick me up? I'll be waiting outside Park's bookshop on the London Road. When can you come? Yeah, that's great. I'll see you later. Yeah? Bye. I didn't want to miss him, so I got there a few minutes early. It was cold and dark. The street wasn't very well lit. I was there a couple of minutes, and then all of a sudden, this guy came over to me.
Excuse me. Sorry to bother you. Can you help us, please? I'm lost.
Where do you want to get to?
Do you know St George's Street?
Yeah, there is a St George's Street round here. I find it difficult myself sometimes. Well, look, this is London Road.
Well, could you show us on the map? I've got an A to Z round the corner.
I'm waiting for my boyfriend.
Oh, please, the car's just there. Look, it'll only take a sec.
Okay.
It's just down there.
I thought it was a reasonable request. People are always asking for directions round there. All the time he was chatting away, but I wasn't listening. I was looking for my boyfriend. See, I didn't want to miss him.
It's just in the back. Yeah, I think that's about the page. Get in the car and shut up!
I did what they said and got into the car. I had to. I was scared. What else could I do?
You want to turn right at the bottom here, it's quicker. Right. Yeah, give us a drink, will you? So.
I tried to watch the route so I would know where we were going. I remember we passed the Elephant and Castle, but I don't know where we went to after that.
Lie down and don't make any noise. Get your head down!
I remember the car was very old and tatty. There was no carpets, just rubbish on the floor, and a red and grey check blanket on the seat. There was no plastic or metal panels. There were holes where loudspeakers would have been. There was an air freshener on the mirror, and I remember the driver's seat had one of those beaded covers and a headrest. The driver wore 3 earrings in his left ear, and on his right wrist he had a Swatch watch. It was very bright, with lots of circles and triangles on it. They drove for, I don't know how long, an hour. Then they stopped the car. They were gonna kill me. I started crying. I just laughed.
This is where, through a process of elimination, police and Susie now think the rape took place. She was taunted with racial insults, and the driver clambered into the back of the car and attacked her.
I've altered the nose. Tell me whether that's long enough.
Yeah, it was longer.
A little bit longer than that.
It was about 30, 35. He had stubble on his chin, a tanned face. He had dirty, crooked lower teeth, quite tall, about 5'10", sort of Mediterranean looking.
You can go now. Nice coat. Leave it.
Susie was in such shock that she wandered numbly for 12 hours through one of the coldest nights of the year, lost and too frightened to speak to anyone. This is what her attacker looks like. Police think he may be one of the two men who abducted and raped a tourist from the streets of London's Covent Garden last summer. If you've been approached or assaulted by these men, please call. The lines are open now. Don't hesitate to call. You can ask to speak to a woman if you prefer, a civilian if you prefer that to a police officer. And the number of the incident room at Peckham Police Station is 071 639 4333. That's 071 639 4333.
Well, now with this month's incident desk cases, here are Detective Constable Jackie Hames and Superintendent David Hatcher.
It was 8:45 on the 6th of January on a typically busy Monday morning in Notting Hill, West London. As the postmaster was opening up the post office area in his shop in Westbourne Park Road, a gunman rushed in, threatened him with a sawn-off shotgun and demanded that he open the safe. There was a struggle which resulted in the postman being shot in the chest. The attacker fled down Westbourne Park Road. He was in his 20s, 5'6" to 5'9", with a slim build, possibly of mixed race, and he has a small scar on his forehead. He was wearing a white surgical type collar or a white polo neck, a bright yellow shell suit top like this one, and brown trousers. Did you see him? It was during rush hour on a busy London street, and there must have been several witnesses. The postmaster nearly died. If you know this man or think you could help in any way, do please ring.
Just before Christmas, Nicola Payne vanished into thick fog as she walked home. Nicola lived with her parents and baby son in Wood End, Coventry. She was looking forward to moving to a new house with her boyfriend, the devoted father of her 7-month-old Owen. Just after midday on Saturday the 14th of December, Nicola left her boyfriend's house to fetch some baby clothes. She set off on the 5-minute walk across waste ground, known locally as the Black Pad, and hasn't been seen since. An intensive search carried out by over 100 police officers has failed to find any clues, and there is deep concern for her safety.
Well, in my own heart, I feel convinced that Nicola's lying dead somewhere. I really do.
At the time of her disappearance, Nicola was wearing this tan leather jacket, t-shirt, bottle green trousers and pixie boots. Try to remember the day, Saturday the 14th of December. It was very foggy, so much so that the Coventry football match against Sheffield Wednesday had been cancelled. If you can help solve the mystery of Nicola's disappearance, please call now.
Terry Sphinx's love of football nearly cost him his life. On Saturday the 1st of February, he was wearing a Liverpool football shirt whilst having a drink with friends at the Plough pub in Bicester when a man came up behind him and asked if he was a Liverpool supporter. Moments later, he was stabbed several times. The next morning, his attacker was spotted locally in the King's End estate area. Do you know him from there? He's about 30, very tall, with a medium to muscular build. His hair's brushed back at the sides and long at the back, and he's got very high cheekbones. He called himself Steve and said he was an Aston Villa supporter. He may well be married. Certainly he wore a gold ring on his wedding finger, and he may have a tattoo on one of his forearms. Terry Sphinx is just out of hospital, but still very ill. If you recognise his attacker, or you can help with any of our incident desk cases, please do ring us now.
081 811 8181. The number for any of those cases, or indeed any others on our programme, 081 811 8181.
Well, now a case that's been baffling police in Fife since last summer. It's the murder of a local man close to his home near the famous St Andrews golf course. Detectives there have carried out exhaustive interviews around the small, tight-knit community, but they've been quite unable to discover why Alexander Drummond was murdered. His mother and his brother and several local people have helped us in the making of the film in the hope of at last finding out what did actually happen. Our reconstruction takes place over the period of 4 days in June, from Friday the 21st to Monday the 24th, the day of Alexander's death. Alexander was usually known as Sandy or Alec. He spent a lot of time on various hobbies, which were all solitary ones. He liked finding new challenges for himself. He lived with his older brother in an isolated cottage about 4 miles from St Andrews.
Sandy was a very kind, loving, affectionate son. It wasn't his nature to feel animosity towards anyone or to bear hatred towards anyone, because his faith was such that this was just not permissible, and therefore it's just unbelievable that he could be murdered.
For the past 7 years, Sandy had done labouring work at the Guardbridge paper mill just outside St Andrews. He was, by all accounts, a conscientious worker, always the first to arrive and the last to leave. He rarely took time off. But on Friday the 21st of June, he didn't turn up for work.
Hello, personnel.
Hello, it's Alec Drummond here. I'm letting you know that I'm not coming back to work. Can you send the P45 to my home address?
Just a minute, Alec. We really need a letter of resignation from you.
Aye, okay.
Well, Alec, you should work a week's notice.
I'll not do that.
Maybe this decision to change his life was something that had been building for some time. Or had something suddenly triggered it? About an hour later, John Menges and his wife were in St Andrews.
We saw this motorcycle run into a parking space, and I noticed it was Sandy, and I thought, well, that's him, just finished his work and he was going to get his wages. And at that, this boy came forward and spoke to him.
I didn't know Sandy, so I noticed both of them. The young lad that came forward was in his early 20s, 5'7" in height and slim built.
It's not clear whether this was somebody Sandy knew already or had just met, but it's vital for police to find out who he was. On the Sunday of that weekend, Sandy went to his mother's for dinner as usual.
Sandy left here at about 6:30 on the Sunday night, and on the road up, as usual, he waved to me twice. And then, instead of going to the left to go homewards, he turned to the right. And I thought, well, he must be going in for some shopping. And yet he hadn't said that he was.
It would have taken about 10 minutes on the bike to get to St Andrews. At 7:22, the Bank of Scotland's computer there shows the withdrawal of £250.
So,
By 8 o'clock, Sandy was back at home with his brother. Jim remembers Sandy seemed in good spirits.
we listened to the radio for a while, and we had some homebrew. Then Sandy told me his news.
Jim, I've got something to tell you, and I don't think you're going to like it.
Oh, aye, what's that?
Well, I've packed in my job at the mill.
What, you not got another job to go to?
No.
What you going to do then?
I don't really know. I think I'll just take the bike and the tent and just go off, spend some money.
Be easier taking the car.
I suppose it would, if it suits you.
Fine.
That's great.
The next morning, Monday the 24th, the day Sandy died.
Jim, you take the car.
You sure?
Aye.
OK. You want the Mercer left on?
Aye, OK.
Right, see you later.
See you later.
Five minutes after Jim left, William Murray was driving past the cottage.
I was on my way to work in St Andrews, and must have been something in the region of 7:25. And as I approached Fosside Bend, I saw Sandy emerge from his house at the cottages and run briskly across the road. And I saw he had a bag under his arm. I fully expected to see him running up through the field. But when I got to the point, there were not a thing to be seen, not even the bag. So it appeared to me that he wasn't wanting to be seen.
At 11 that morning, the Dunfermline Building Society's security camera recorded Sandy going in to make a withdrawal. He practically emptied his account. At 4 o'clock, near the cottage, somebody like Sandy was seen jogging, something he often did. This would have been the last reported sighting of him. 45 minutes later, it seems Sandy had a visitor. Several witnesses remember seeing a rusty orange car parked outside, and 2 people were seen through the living room window. 3 hours later, Sandy would be found dead. At 8 o'clock, his body was found along this farm track, only yards from his cottage. He'd been strangled. Well, Mr. Potter, Sandy had few friends as far as we know, but could he have possibly had any enemies that you can find?
Not as far as we've been able to establish. In the 8 months or so that we've been investigating the murder of Sandy Drummond, we've really been unable to supply a motive for it.
Have you ruled out robbery then?
Robbery's one possibility that we've considered amongst others. We've heard in the reconstruction how Sandy withdrew quite a large sum of money from his bank and his building society, but I should point out that most of that money was actually recovered in his cottage.
It's an extraordinary thing. That was very out of character for him, drawing out all that money. And he did a number of very out of character things in those last 4 days. One of them, it sounds quite simple, but he had his dinner as usual with his mother on the Sunday evening and then went off in the wrong direction.
Yes, he did. His mother thought he was obviously going down to St Andrews to a shop, but we know that he actually must have doubled back on himself because he was seen in Boar Hills village by a local resident there around 7 o'clock.
And as we see there, he didn't have his motorbike suddenly with him then, or his motorcycle gear, so that's odd.
Yeah, so we just don't know what he was doing.
The other strange thing is the following morning, the day of his death, the man who saw him rushing across the street from his cottage and then disappearing.
Yes, well, the witnesses explained to us that he saw Sandy carrying a sports bag. We believe it may have been a bag very similar to this. We know that Sandy actually had a bag like this, and we've been unable to account for it.
So it's very important to find that.
Yes.
There's a red hatchback car you want to trace from that day.
Yes, indeed. Round about 10 minutes past 7, 15 minutes past 7 that night, a red hatchback car was seen reversed at the bottom end of the track where Sandy was later found dead. It's obviously very important that we trace that car.
And finally, and this I think could well be the key to solving this case, shortly before Sandy's body was found, 2 men were seen running towards the farm track where he was found.
Yes, that's around about 10 minutes, 15 minutes past 7. We have a sighting of a car which is described to us as being similar to a silver Renault 5 or a vehicle like that. 2 men were seen to come out of that car, jump a wall with a 9-foot drop on the other side, and then run in the general direction or in the direction where Sandy was later found dead.
There was obviously a sense of urgency about what they were doing, so what is vital is that these men should be eliminated from the inquiry. If there's anything you know, if you know about that bag or those men, or you can think you can help us in any way, please do ring us tonight. This is the number here in the studio, 081 811 8181, or you can ring the Cooper Police Station direct, and that number is 0334 5226. That's 0334, the code for Cooper, 5226.
You won't be surprised to know we're getting a very high volume of calls tonight. On the Peckham rape, an artist's impression that we showed, looks like we're told that some burglars of a home in Peckham, and police are already investigating that possible link. But most of them, of course, have come in on the Stephanie Slater case. A number of names. One most interesting call comes from a police officer who's been able to give a great deal. It's an ex-policeman, actually. He's given quite detailed descriptions. A lot of people have recognised, they think, the place where Stephanie was held in the Midlands. Some say disused brickworks near Glossop. In fact, we heard several callers about that. Glossop again. A closed railway depot was mentioned. A great deal more. If we have time, I'll bring you up to date later on in the programme.
Well, looking back again at last month's programme, our photo call appeal resulted in 1 arrest. South Yorkshire Police were looking for a man in connection with deceptions totalling £15,000. On the night of the programme, a Crimewatch viewer told police that they would find the man they were looking for in a hotel in North Yorkshire, but officers missed him by half an hour. Then, in early this month, another viewer saw him in their golf club in Edinburgh, and recognising him and his vehicle from Crimewatch, they called the police. A man has now been arrested. And going back to September's photo call, detectives wanted to talk to two men about the importation of drugs worth over £100 million. A call from a Crimewatch viewer led the investigating officers to Frankfurt in Germany, and on the 16th of January, one man was arrested.
Who'll be recognised in this month's Gallery of Faces. Here they are, and here to take us through them, David Hatcher and Jackie Hames.
This romantic couple may have information about a series of armed robberies in which £1 million was stolen. On the 13th of November, Henry Cummins and Vanessa Hockey left their home in Bexley Heath rather quickly and haven't been back since. They're said to be in love and inseparable and may still be in the local area, perhaps renting somewhere. Vanessa Hockey is 23, 5'6", slim and very well spoken. Henry Cummins is 27, 5'10", slim but muscular and has a South London accent. If you know them or where they're living, it is vital that you contact us. There's a substantial reward.
Next, police in Durham want to speak to this man about a number of building society robberies. Saying he has a gun, he's robbed at least 4 branches across the north of England over the last 2 months. He's called Alan Stephen Wilde. He's 38, about 5'9", with fair hair and has a South Yorkshire accent. If you know where he is now, please do ring.
Have you come across this man? Police from 4 Forces think Gerald Knight might know something about a number of deceptions involving elderly people. Since last April, many pensioners throughout England have entrusted him with their life savings, over £70,000, and never seen him again. Gerald Knight does use other surnames and sometimes changes his name completely. He's 44, 6'1", heavily built, a smart dresser, and does he still have that moustache? We know he enjoys spending time at the bookies and stays mainly at hotels. Who knows, he could be in your TV lounge right now. If you've seen him, please give us a ring.
Do you recognise this woman? Using a stolen Building Society passbook, she withdrew a cheque for £4,000. Here she is in Thomas Cook in Solihull on the 13th of November, about to cash it. She asked for some of the money in pesetas. Was she off to Spain? She's between 25 and 30 and about 5'2". She has long, mousy hair with what's called a spiral perm, and she was wearing a beige-coloured coat. If you recognise her or any of our other photo call faces, please call us now.
081 811 8181 is the number if you know or recognise any of those faces. 081 811 8181.
In Bristol, in the last 6 months, a small armed gang has been involved in 3 attacks which have terrorised staff in 2 building societies and a post office. Their technique is unconventional, to say the least, and it's causing financial institutions all over Britain to rethink their security procedures. Detectives hope in the next few minutes someone watching Crimewatch will be able to identify the 3 attackers. On Monday, August the 5th, Tony Horn, a trainee manager with the Bristol and West Building Society, was on his way to open up the office. It was his first day at the Black Boy Hill branch, 2 miles from the city centre.
Get down!
Got keys.
Well, they were very calm and efficient. They'd planned everything so well. Nice. They knew how to come in. They knew that I had the keys. They got the keys off me. They knew where the safe was. They knew they'd disabled the camera system. All these things pointed to a very smooth operation. All right.
Even though I never felt my life was threatened, it was a very shocking experience. If the operation hadn't gone so smoothly, if they hadn't been able to open the safe, if they hadn't been able to get out of the building so easily, I'm sure that I would have been in a lot more danger than I was.
The police were astonished to discover how the gang had gained entry to the building. The doors had not been damaged and the windows were secure. The gang had literally dropped in.
They gained access to the roof somehow. Once on the roof, they've removed flashing from a dormer window and also removed some tiles. That allowed them then to kick a hole in the ceiling and gain access to the inside. Once inside, they've only forced open the doors necessary to get to the ground level. once down there, they've obviously laid in wait until the building society manager has come in that morning. It was also unusual in the fact that they were very efficient. They replaced the tiles that they'd removed, and this makes us believe that they perhaps had something to do with the building or roofing trade. This is also a very large building. They had a good knowledge of the internal layout. There was, in fact, a burglary some months before in the same premises, and we now believe that perhaps this was just a planning stage for this actual robbery.
There was another burglary at another branch 3 months later, Friday, November the 1st.
Hello, this is security, British Aerospace at Filton.
Yes, sir. Can I help you?
Yeah, I would like to report a blue flashing light in the Bristol and West Building Society opposite.
Yeah, what's the address, sir?
It's in Gloucester Road, across from the factory.
Right, we'll get someone around there as soon as we can.
Okay, it's been flashing for about a minute.
Okay, sir. Thanks very much.
It seemed a low-key and straightforward break-in. Only £60 was missing, along with a TV and a video machine. But could the burglars have been planning something bigger? A security camera caught one man behind the counter. The branch was almost undisturbed. The incident was soon forgotten, and security arrangements were left unchanged. It's now a fortnight since the break-in, and when the staff went home on Tuesday night, the 19th of November, the branch was checked and locked as usual.
Don't forget tomorrow to come round a little bit earlier, okay?
Oh, so if I'm there by 8,
That should be okay.
right.
You don't mind, do you?
No, not
It's just
at
that our
all.
Sandra started a new job.
Really?
She wants to be there nice and early.
Yeah, that's fine.
8 miles outside Bristol is the village of Pilning. The landlady of the Cross Hands remembers 3 strangers that night in her pub.
I thought they were very quiet and very strange how they were behaving because it was so quiet. One particularly kept his head away from me, and it was as if he didn't want me to see him. He had medium brown hair, 5'10" to 6 foot, clean looking. When 2 younger gentlemen came in to play pool, then they got up quite abruptly and left, because they didn't want to be seen, I'm sure.
Half a mile away is Keen's Grove. Sometime after 11 that night, a car thief was at work. At 8:25 next morning, 2 cashiers arrived to open up the Filton branch.
Get down, you prick! Where are the keys?
In my bag! In the front pocket!
Open it!
Just then, a local shopkeeper was on his way to work.
I came round the back of the shops where I always park my car, and I noticed there was a car parked in the space behind the shops where I usually park. There was an indicator lens missing on the right-hand side of the car as I looked at it. I was just about to get out of the car and I noticed a man walk down the side of the buildings. Quite shortish, sort of a small build man, like 25 years old. His face was like a small shaped face, light coloured hair.
Okay, girl.
And about 20 seconds later, these 2 other men came running across, same dress, boiler suits, and a man in the front seat. He was either a black or half-caste man. He was about 28 years old, quite strong features on his face, square, sort of set chin.
Can I have the police, please?
3 men were seen to get into an H-registered Sierra in Links Road. It's just gone 20 to 9. Mr. Bainham, since then there's been another robbery. Tell us about that one.
That's right. On Tuesday, the 10th of December, there was a robbery using the same method at the Chalks Road post office, which is in Redcliffe or Redfield, Bristol. Here they got away with a large amount of money and also some 2,000 tax discs. Now, these tax discs were in 2 batches. Some expire in July 1992 and some October 1992.
If you've been offered tax discs in a pub or whatever, these are the registration numbers of the ones that come from this offence. Just take a note of them if you can, and certainly if you've bought a tax disc, you might look and see if it's one of these. 1804172 to 1805000, or the other batch 1298001 to 1299000. There are video fits of the robbers. Let's just take a look at them again and tell us what you can about the people.
This first person here, he's of mixed race. He's in his 20s. He's of slim build. He has large eyes and a large nose. And as you can see, he had a rather stubbly face.
And the next one?
This man is also in his 20s, about 5 feet 8 inches tall. He has light-coloured hair, and he has a gingery moustache.
Now, the picture of the burglar was taken by the security camera. We've had that enhanced, computer enhanced. It's still not a brilliant picture, but there, do you recognise that person? A pretty terrifying experience, this, for the staff, Mr. Bennett.
Yes, it's very, very traumatic, certainly for the staff at Chalks Road Post Office, so much so that they've been unable to return to their place of work.
I should say, point out, we haven't shown much of the technique these people employed. If you think it's easy doing what they did, it's not. Let me point out a number of financial institutions have changed their security. Others, at least, have now been alerted to the technique. Here's the number to ring if you can help in this inquiry, 0818 118181, or you can call the Trinity Road Police Station on 0272 267 992. 0272, the code for Bristol, of course, 267 992.
Well, calls coming here thick and fast. In fact, there's much too much information to fit into the 20 seconds of programme we've got left. On our photo call appeal for Vanessa Hockey and Henry Cummings, a hotel owner has rung to say they're in his hotel now. We've had a lot of calls on the rape of the young woman in Peckham and also on the Stephanie Slater case. One anonymous caller thinks he was in prison with this man during the 60s. Another one thinks they worked with him 2 years ago. A lot of calls. But just to remind you, we'll have a listen once more to his voice again.
You go to Glossop Station.
Could you spell that, please?
GLOSSOP, west of Manchester. There's a telephone box inside the entrance hall, only one, and you'll get a further message at 7 o'clock. If anything goes wrong and you don't make it there, I want you there as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Anything goes wrong, you ring your office up. It's an hour and a half journey and it's sunny. I'm in Glossop now and it's sunny here. Get there for 7 o'clock.
Give us a ring if you know who that is. That's it till we've had a chance to sort through the piles of information that are coming in behind us right now. The lines are open till midnight. We'll be back at 11:15. That's Crimewatch update after question time, about an hour from now. If you can't stay up till then, please don't have nightmares. Do sleep well. Good night.
Good night. Well, this has been one of the busiest nights on the phones we've had for some time. The lines have been jammed with hundreds of calls offering information on Stephanie Slater's kidnapper. Many people say they recognise the combination of the face and voice. A couple of good calls are being followed up now from Photocall and some of our other cases, but I suspect information is coming through slowly because of the volume of calls on the Stephanie Slater case. So please do persevere if you're trying to get through.
Indeed, I'll give you another number for the Stephanie Slater case in just a moment. Let's start with the case, the Birmingham estate agent, who of course was released from being kidnapped after a ransom of £175,000 was paid. Earlier, we heard for the first time the voice of Stephanie's kidnapper.
You go to Glossop Station.
Could you spell that, please?
GLOSSOP, west of Manchester. There's a telephone box inside the entrance hall, only one, and you'll get a further message at 7 o'clock. If anything goes wrong and you don't make it there, I want you there as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Anything goes wrong, you ring your office up. It's an hour and a half journey and it's sunny. I'm in Glossop now and it's sunny here. You get there for 7 o'clock.
Tom Cook, the numbers, of course, of responses are changing minute by minute. I know we're almost up to 600 now between here and your own incident desk and the free phone. What do you make of the response? About a third, I think, have been trying to put names to that voice.
They certainly have, and a number of people have put the same name to the face and the voice, and the response has been tremendous so far. As you can see from this, it's going to take us some time to sort through it, but I would appeal to people to keep the information coming in.
What's the procedure now when you've got this volume of calls to deal with? You can't possibly act on them all simultaneously.
No, we can't. It will be looked at by a number of detective officers involved in the case and prioritised in accordance with the number of factors that are identified and some geographic areas that we're interested in, and those will be siphoned out as high priority actions, and then we will eventually work our way through every single one.
So we can't, there's just too many for us to be able to single out ones which are given any clear indications of who it might be. But what you want, and what you said earlier, is you want people who can put the jigsaw together. This red metro car, 10 to 12 years old, the face, the voice, and the fact that there might well be a railway connection as well.
There might be in the location of the premises as well, but any combination of those, ideally if people can put all four together, great. But any combination of those, please keep the information coming in.
OK, I promise that free phone number. It's 0800 800 345. 0800 800 345. Sue.
Well, now David Hatcher has the news on our incident desk cases. David, first of all, the shooting of the postmaster in Westbourne Park Road in Notting Hill in West London.
Yes, Sue, not a bad response there. We've had quite a few addresses given and a couple of names offered for that artist's impression that we showed, so we're looking hopeful on that one.
That's good. And then anybody recognise the man who stabbed Terry Sphinx at the Plough pub in Bicester?
Well, quite a few people have called, offering, again, names and addresses for the artist's impression that we showed on that. And we've also had an address that links in with what officers know, and one particular call comes from someone connected with the legal system, and the caller has provided full details of someone that he knows who has a very interesting history, including offences of stabbing.
Right. Any news at all on Nicola Payne, who disappeared shortly after leaving her home at Wood End in Coventry on that foggy Saturday in December?
Sadly, Sue, no. We're no better off than we were at the beginning of the programme. We've had one call here, two to the incident room. They're very vague sightings and we're really not very optimistic. But if you think you know where Nicola is or can add anything to that, then please do still call us or call the incident room.
All right, David, thank you.
Next, the rape of a woman who was abducted from a street in South London.
Yeah, I think that's about the page.
Brian Davis, I know this case aroused a lot of empathy for the victim and outrage at her attackers. I think just under 100 calls so far. How good have they been?
They've been very, very good calls indeed, Nick. They're very good calls. They have named people, and officers are out there now looking for these people.
So you've already got officers out now looking. You're pretty sure after tonight's calls. I mean, you were fairly certain before, but you're pretty sure that these people are locals. They're from London, possibly South London.
Yes, possibly from South London indeed.
And that's where your names have come from.
That's
the
right.
car that the victim was held in, that she thinks was a sort of burgundy-coloured Datsun. She was able to give details, had a beaded seat and an air freshener dangling from it. But the watch, can we just have a look at the watch that the driver was wearing? This is what?
This is a Swatch watch. The model name is Pole Vault, and it depicts a man attempting a pole vault by circles and triangle designs.
Let's just have a look at the artist's impressions of the two people who committed the abduction. Can you put these two people together or put them with the watch? Above all, can you put them with a coat that was stolen from the victim? Has anybody offered you, or have you seen somebody with a coat like this taken from the victim? If you can, our lines are still open. Sue.
Well, our photo call case is next. Jackie, first of all, there was the couple, Vanessa Hockey and Henry Cummins. Any news on them?
Yes, well, we've had several local sightings, so it could be they're still in the Bexley Heath area. They were last seen there positively on the 13th of November. There have been some interesting calls, but we do need more information. There's serious offences involved.
And next there was the man police want to speak to in connection with building society robberies in the north of England.
A couple of people have seen him recently, which are being checked out, and on one occasion he was on an internal flight going from north to south. So perhaps he's moved down this way. Anybody who's seen him, please ring.
And then Gerald Knight, who may know something about a series of deceptions involving elderly people.
We do need to catch him. Lots of sightings in the south of England, one giving a name, which could be a new alias for him, and different places like bookies, but we need to know where is he now. If you know where he is, please call.
And finally, the woman who cashed a cheque at a building society in Solihull using a stolen passbook.
A couple of good leads. Further inquiries are going to be made on those. Some names suggested, and remember the pesetas that she obtained. One caller has helped with a possible Spanish connection, so let's hope that leads to good news.
Jackie, thank you.
Now to those robberies in Bristol. At night, a gang cut through the roof of building societies, then lay in wait for staff.
Got keys.
Mr. Bainham, I gathered earlier on that down at the incident room in Bristol, people were going bananas. It was so difficult to cope with the volume of calls.
That's right, we've been overwhelmed by calls in Bristol, and indeed we have had a great deal here in the studio. Just in front of me now I've got one particular line in relation to the stolen tax disc, which looks very, very good at this time.
Now, this isn't one of the robberies. A whole bunch of car tax discs were stolen. Incidentally, a lot of people wanted to know what the serial numbers were. If you've bought a tax disc on the cheap, particularly if it was from the Bristol area, and you can see that the registration number is among these, please let us know. I don't think the police will be too concerned where you got the tax discs from as far as your own prosecution potentially might be concerned. What they want to know is how they can solve a series of very, very serious offences. Have a look at the two video fits. These are the two people who we know. Here's one of them, here's the other one, who we know are involved. And perhaps I should add that there's a reward that's been offered, I think about £5,000 in this case. If you can help, please still call us. Sue.
Well, finally, the murder of Alexander Drummond, which has been puzzling police in Fife since his body was found close to his home near the town of St Andrews. Alexander had been strangled, or Sandy as he was often known, and the date of his death was the 24th of June last summer. What sort of response have you had?
Well, we've had several calls both here in the studio and at our incident room in Cooper, and one call in particular is given us a name for the young man that Sandy was seen speaking to in St Andrews on the Friday afternoon. It is very important we speak to that young man, and we'll follow that call up.
So that could be a big step forward.
Yes,
Has anybody else come forward to sort of try and piece together what else may have happened to Sandy over those last 4 days?
We've had another couple of calls from people telling us where Sandy was in the St Andrews area on the Monday, and these are important calls as well for us piecing together his final movements.
What you are most anxious about, and what you feel is the most important of all, is that two men were seen running from a silver car, maybe a Renault 5 or a Peugeot, just about the time that Sandy was killed, and very near to where he was killed.
Yes, unfortunately we've not had any calls at all about that one. I can't stress how important it is that we actually do get somebody to come forward to tell us who these people were. We believe they may have been visitors in the area. Kinley Burn is actually quite a popular spot for fishing. These people may very well have been visitors, they may very well have been acting that way because of something they've seen or heard, and we would like somebody to come forward and tell us who they may have been, or even the people themselves to get in touch with us.
All right, well, if that was you, or you know who those two men may be, then please do contact us. It really is important. Thanks a lot.
That's it for now, but even now, more calls coming in. Another one here giving a name and address to one of the offences. The lines are open till midnight. There'll be more numbers in just a moment. We'll be back a month from now, but meantime, don't have nightmares, do please. Sleep well. Good night.
Good night.